first responder and public safety professionals working together to keep you and your family safe. Harlem Irving Plaza welcomes you to Safety Town. Sponsored by Target.
A lot of firefighters have always wanted to do this. They didn't grow up and say, what do I want to be when I grow up? They kind of grew up and they said something like, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a police officer. You know, they kind of have this in their mind and in their blood, and that's how we played and what we did when we were growing up. So it means a lot for us to be a part of this job, and we love sharing it with you guys, and we love showing you everything we can. Now, Safety Town traditionally has covered a bunch of different topics. The police department come out and they teach you a bunch of different things. You get an opportunity to see how a 911 center works and to learn how to use that phone. Now, when I say 911, does everybody know what that is? Okay, I see a lot of nodding heads. Can somebody tell me what 911 is? Sir?
It's firemen and a doctor.
That's right. It's calling for firefighters and a doctor or paramedics or the police department. Basically, when you have an emergency, that's the phone number we want to call, isn't it? So I'm going to ask you guys all to say that number for me. What was that phone number again?
911.
That's right. What I want to talk about is what happens at the fire department when you call 911 and you think there's an emergency. Now, I said you think there's an emergency, right? I didn't say there's definitely an emergency, because there are times that you guys will hear a noise or smell something that smells funny, or your smoke detector goes off, right? Everybody knows what a smoke detector is? Okay, does everybody know the kind of noise a smoke detector makes when it goes off?
No.
No? Got a couple people that say yes, a couple people that say no, right? Do the people that know what a smoke detector sounds like, can you guys make that noise for me real quick? Beep, 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 beep. It's kind of like a truck backing up, but it's louder, isn't it? When it goes off in the house, it's a very sharp, loud noise. Okay, when that smoke detector goes off, it could mean a lot of things. It could mean maybe the detector's getting old or the battery is dying. It could mean somebody like me is cooking. It could also mean there's potentially a real emergency in the house. Now, when your smoke detector goes off, what's the noise it makes again?
Beep, beep.
All right, when it goes off and it makes that noise, that means you don't know for sure what's going on, but that smoke detector thinks there's a problem. So that's when we want you guys to call the phone number to have us come out and take a look. And what was that phone number again?
911.
That's right, 911. You're not going to get in trouble for thinking there's an emergency, okay? We would rather come out to your house 100 times and have nothing going on than worry about coming out once when something is. So we'll come out and we'll check and we'll make sure that you guys are safe and that everything's fine, okay? So now, let's say that there is something going on in your house. Your smoke detector goes off. It makes what noise again?
Beep, beep, beep.
Okay, and you can smell smoke. Is it safe for you guys to stay in that house?
No.
That's right, we don't want to stay in the house, right? We have to kind of think about how we're going to get out of the house. Everybody knows there's certain ways out of your house, right? How do you guys normally leave your house? Through the door, right? And do your houses have more than one door?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's say that you were worried that you couldn't get out your door. Is there a different way out of your room? Tough question, right?
No.
Can we get maybe a kind of sort of from some people? Because we are talking about windows, okay? With some people's windows, they can climb out. But some people, that window's kind of high off the ground, isn't it? You don't want to go through the screen, you're a little worried. What can you do to stay safe while the fire department is coming? So if you're in your room and you're afraid that you can't get out, what is something you can do while you're waiting for the fire department to arrive? You can take a look around your room. Number one, we did talk about the idea of keeping our door closed at night when we're sleeping, right? That's right, close before you doze. We want your doors closed because that will keep all that smoke and all that heat and anything that might be happening in your house from getting into your bedroom. It's going to buy you a lot of time. So if you're sleeping in your room and you happen to have your door closed and you're worried about getting out, you don't think it's safe to go out, okay, we want you to, number one, double check your door. Walk up to your door, you take the back of your hand and you kind of put it up against the door on the wall over there. Feel if it's hot. If it's really, really hot, we definitely don't want to open that door. Does everybody know how to open their window?
No.
No? If you have an opportunity, it may not hurt to ask how to open your window. Most of the time, it's a really small latch, And your parents will be happy to talk with you about when it's good to open the window and when it's bad to open the window, in weather and temperature, when it's raining, okay? But if you know how to open your window, you can open that window, you can let some fresh air in, you can keep the bad air from getting in your room by keeping your door closed, okay? And if you can't go out through your window, when the fire department get there, if your window is open and you guys can shout and get our attention, you let us know you're up there, we have a whole fire engine and fire truck full of ladders and equipment that are designed just to get you guys out. Let's say that for whatever reason, it happens during the daytime, we're not sleeping, our smoke detector goes off and we see some smoke in the house. Where are we going to see that smoke? Is that smoke going to be down at the ground or is it going to be up high? It's going to, a little louder. Up high? Everybody shout it, up high. That's right. The smoke is going to be raised by that heat, the same way that we see fires in fireplaces and we see like hot air balloons being pushed up by that heat. Fire is always going to rise to the ceiling first and then kind of spread out and start coming down. If all the smoke is up here that's not safe to breathe, do you guys want to be up here? No, that's right. You want to stay low to the ground, don't you? Okay, that part of it when we're leaving our house is what we call stay low and go. And it may sound kind of silly to do that when you see just a little smoke, but all that smoke kind of makes you cough and it's not easy to breathe. So if you see that, what we're going to want you guys to do and what we're going to practice doing is getting down on the ground on our hands and knees and kind of crawling underneath that so we can see better and we can breathe better and finding our doors so that we can leave the house. Does that make sense to everybody? So what we tell everybody to do, and this includes parents as well as kids, is to practice going to what we call an outside meeting place. How many people have heard that term before? Outside meeting place. You have? Okay, an outside meeting place can be any location outside of your house that you all agree on. Where we say, well, how about we meet by that big tree in front? Or we'll go to the driveway, or we'll walk next door and wait in the yard, okay? It's going to be someplace that everybody in the house agrees to go to if you have to leave the house in a hurry. The best part about that outside meeting place is it gives you guys a lot of opportunities to tell us what's going on. Before I get into what we're going to do, is it safe for you guys if you're missing somebody, like a brother or a sister or a mom and a dad, once you leave that house, is it safe for you to go back in? That's right, it's not safe for you to go back in. Because that fire and that smoke, that's going to get bigger, isn't it? Fire doubles in size like every 20 to 30 seconds. So you go outside that house and you're sitting there, everything that you crawled low out of is going to get harder to get back into. We don't want you going back in for a brother or a sister or a mom and a dad. You know, and it hurts to think about it, but we don't even want you guys going back in if you have a pet or a favorite toy or a stuffed animal. We want you guys to stay outside. We really quickly, briefly talked about what to do if there's an emergency by calling what phone number?
911.
Okay. And that's whether or not there is a true emergency when that smoke detector goes off, because like I said, you cannot get in trouble for thinking there's an emergency and asking people to come out and take a look. You should always tell an adult in the house if you think there's an emergency and let them take a look if you're able to. But don't be afraid to call 911. Don't be afraid to have us come out and take a look, okay? Then we're going to kind of take a look at getting out of our house and how we do that. And part of that is going to be, like I said, that smoke, it's really hot, it goes high to the ceiling. We're going to stay low to the ground, and we're going to go out of that house as quickly as we can if we're able to, and go to our outside meeting place to make sure everybody makes it safely. And we can let the police and the fire department know who needs help when you get there. If you're not able to get out, we're going to want you to close your door to keep out the heat and smoke, and go to your window, open it up for the fresh air, and be able to shout and call for help when you guys see people showing up and trying to help, right? We are going to kind of pause on that because what we want to do is we have sort of an inflatable bounce house out there. It used to be a different kind of fire safety trailer, but we recently updated it. And we want to kind of take you guys through it as a group, show you some of the things that you can look for in a house in terms of hazards and emergencies, and walk through how we're going to stay low and go to crawl through the house if there's an emergency and what things might look like. You guys think you're up for that? Okay. So we got you guys out here in our fire safety house now, right?
Yes.
Now what are some of the things in this room that might cause a fire? Can anybody tell me?
A fire.
Okay, she said the fireplace can sometimes cause a fire, and that's right. Fire is usually in a very contained area, but fire can get really hot, and sometimes that wood can pop and those sparks can come out, and that can create a problem. Other things is, for example, we have a garbage can right here next to our fireplace. And although that seems like a really neat idea for throwing things out, if we're not careful and we don't keep our garbage can away from things that can burn, sometimes in a kitchen or somewhere else, that might light something inside that garbage can on fire, which is what created that smoke the first time, right? So we want to watch that and make sure we're good. Other things that might create a problem in here is our kitchen. How many of you guys see your moms and dads and brothers and sisters cooking in the house? Show of hands, how many people have family that cook dinner for you, or breakfast for you, or lunch for you? And they use a lot of these same tools. They use the stovetop, they use the oven, they'll use microwaves. So if we're talking about our kitchen, we're talking about safety in and around our stovetop and our oven, right? And one of the ways we demonstrate that is by keeping kind of a distance. We tell everybody when somebody is cooking on a stovetop, we want to keep at least 3 feet away from that stovetop. Because 3 feet is only a little bit taller than some of you and a little bit shorter than other of you, but it's a good distance so that if something really hot falls off, or like that bacon grease kind of spits, you're not going to get burned and nothing's going to hit you because you are a safe distance away from that stovetop, right? Is it safe for you guys to try to cook in the house without an adult and with no one else home? I can't hear you. That's right, okay? It says, the question that it says specifically is, it's asking you, is it okay to cook alone because it shows that you're a grown-up? You said no, and I'm gonna make the Terry Velcro noise because we don't want you to cook alone without asking an adult. The other comment that we have down here talks about those pot handles. Remember I talked about keeping 3 feet away from the stove or the oven when people are cooking so you can't get splashed with things? It's nice when we have our pot handles and our skillets to kind of keep that handle out of this area so that people that are running or walking by don't bump into it and have a problem. So, turn pot and pan handles towards you for easy handling, but you want to turn the pot handles to the center of the stove and out of the way so you cannot bump into them. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah! Does that make sense? Yeah! Okay. Over against this wall, we have a smoke detector. What's going on with that smoke detector, guys? Is there something not right? It needs a new battery, right? And there's a battery there. Now, a lot of people have newer smoke detectors that don't have the batteries that the old ones do, but we still have to check those batteries a couple times a year, don't we? As firefighters, we tell you guys that we want you to check the batteries when you change your clocks for daylight savings. You guys all know what that's right? Spring forward, fall behind. We're talking about falling behind, right? The end of the season, it's getting a little later, it gets darker a little earlier. As we're getting ready to change those clocks, we want to check that smoke detector. If the battery's dead, we want to have an adult change it. And if the battery's not dead, the smoke detector is going to make what kind of noise again? Beep, 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 beep. It's going to let us know that it's working when we push that test button. So we're going to make the outside meeting place the side of that fire engine right out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to see that fog come out, okay? We're going to get low to the ground, right? Stay low and go. When we crawl around the corner, we're going to have that little tunnel. We're going to crawl through that tunnel because that shows us going low under the smoke. Then when we get outside, we're going to go to the side of the fire engine, which is our outside meeting place. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Does that make sense for everybody? Are you absolutely sure that makes sense for you? I talk a long time, and now I feel like I talk with a funny accent because I don't know if you listen. Do you listen? Yeah. You is good. Yeah. We are going to practice then, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to signal my guy, and he's going to put a little fog into the room, and you're going to see it come out here. And then I'll let you guys know that it's time to stay low to the ground, crawl, and go out, and then go to your outside meeting place, okay? Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, let's wait for the smoke. Okay, now everybody down to the ground, underneath it. Come on, let's go. And you're gonna crawl under there. You gotta move quickly. You wanna move fast, right? Crawl, 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 crawl. Outside, go through, go through, go through. Outside, outside meeting place. So what did we practice doing? We stayed low to the ground. We crawled out, okay? We crawled in an area of safety. Remember, all that smoke, the fog that was coming out of that trash can was blocking the main door that we came in. So we went out of the way to make sure we exited in a way that doesn't cause any problems for us, right? So that we don't have to breathe that bad smoke, we don't have to worry about that heater getting hurt. We crawl away from the smoke and outside the door, and as soon as we get outside, we know it's safe to get up and run around, and that's when we go to our outside meeting place. And you guys did a fantastic job of getting to your outside meeting place.
You're always welcome at Harlem Irving Plaza's Safety Town, sponsored by Target. Special thanks to the Norwood Park Fire Department, Harwood Heights Police Department, and the 911 call center. Many thanks to Lee Elementary and the students and parents who made this production possible.